Nick came up with this one, but it was Santa's helpers are known as subordinate clauses.
Word. Okay.
Our guest today is a performance artist and an educator whose classes are a combination of philosophy, sociology, history, culture, and music. Join us as we catch up with Dr. A.D. Carson, Assistant Professor of Hip Hop in the Global South at the University of Virginia. Come on.
We just have to be aware of the fact that we are telling stories, or we are telling a story. Every rap is an argument. Every rap song is arguing something.
I figured I'd give you an update on where I'm at right now.
What would you call an educated Negro with a BA or an MA or a BS or a PhD? I'll tell you.
When I'm on stage, I imagine myself as a teacher. And when I'm in class, I imagine myself as a performer. And I think that both spaces where I'm engaging benefit from my conceptualizing it as the other.
So talk about the different classes that you're teaching.
Well, I teach a class for undergraduates called Writing Rap, and essentially the students are learning the basics of rap writing, as well as some very general histories of hip hop and different eras, the ways that people break up the eras of rap, which means that we also have to study a lot of raps, listening to a lot of different people, and trying to analyze the ways that they approach the writing of raps. I also teach a class called The Black Voice. It's a seminar for graduate students, and it's not to say that we are going to define what a black voice is. That's not real. But we are, or it's not real in the ways that folks might presume that we mean whenever they see that title. But we are looking at the ways that we come to our understanding of a thing called the black voice. And I teach a course called Composing Mixtapes. So that class is highly collaborative. It's like making stuff every day from the very beginning. And at the end, the students are expected to not only have the finished album, but to put together a showcase so that they can share that album with the broader community.
This is 15 college students from 15 different backgrounds, different cultures, different states, different countries, different races. We all come from different places, yet in rap we all relate.
I think of your classes as a mix of so many other classes as well. I mean, I think of philosophy, you're covering history, you're covering sociology, culture, you're covering music theory, and language. Language and how your students interpret language for themselves. That's a big part of what you want them to discover too, sort of who they are in the world and how they want to use language.
Well, I think that it's extremely important that we all really think about our relationship to language. In the way that has an effect on the world that we live in. The worlds that we create are structured by the language that we engage in, or how we engage in language. So it's much more present in this class because I'm asking them to write raps, and because there are constraints to each of the projects that I'm giving them that make them have to think. I have 16 bars to get across a point that is predetermined, which means that I only have a certain number of words that I can say.
Right.
So I have to evaluate my relationship to language to be able to navigate that in such a way that it's going to create something that I am proud of.
Gratitude is my attitude. I don't always say a lot, but I ain't mad at you. I not only want to say it, I wanted you to have it and to play it.
People have very different experiences, and this is kind of the time where I've realized that my experience is just one experience. This class has definitely made me aware a lot more about what hip hop means and why it's important that we recognize the work that has already been done.
it really isn't just a music form, it's an entire culture, and I really like that we are not restrained in what we can say. Like, we know that even if we have a controversial opinion or interpreted something differently than others, that it's a place where we can talk about that, and we're not going to get criticism from him or get told that we shouldn't go in that direction with our discussion.
If you look back on the lyrics that they used to say in the 90s or 80s, you'd be like, whoa, like this is really violent. I feel like some of the lyrics that they used back then would not be acceptable today because people would be more outraged and say this is wrong.
I think about Joyner Lucas's I'm Not a Racist, the song, where I think lots of folks felt that that was like this binary that we're always trying to create, like both sides of the argument. And if it's a song like that that's really, really popular and is striking a chord with so many people, it's really important if we're in a class about writing raps to have the conversations that we are having amongst people who are from so many different areas of the university and from so many different walks of life.
And what did they think of the class? So tell me about your students.
Lots of them are really big fans of the music, and they bring a lot of that to the conversation. And then there are others who don't know very much and want to learn. And I think that that's kind of a dope thing. I mean, it's the way that like hip hop influences the world or rap music influences the world. It's not just looking at people who are into music, or it's not just looking at people who are into hip hop culture. It's really popular music.
Isn't it the #1 music form?
Yeah, it's most consumed, and that makes it easier for me to make an assertion that like most of the students likely have had some experience with rap music.
I'm really curious too now if like Chance lifted that.
It's a good question, right?
Yeah. Oh.
So give me some examples of what else you'll be doing throughout the year.
We start off, as I said, we talk about like our relationship to language, and we have to have the conversation about the so-called N-word. The question is always asked, who has the right to say it and who doesn't. And I think it's important that we have that conversation early on, just to kind of to get that out there, because that conversation is one that applies to many other words or engagements in language that we maybe don't consider as much because they are not as contentious.
Right.
But if they are composers of rap and they say, well, I have to do that because I am writing rap, then my question is, why do you think that you have to do that because you're writing rap or because another rapper does it? Is your relationship to language the same as theirs?
Right.
And so we talk about that from the very beginning. We do talk a little bit about production, and hopefully we have some artists who are able to kind of Skype in and talk very specifically about the writing of certain songs.
Oh, that's great.
And I'm trying my best to keep my ear open for whatever comes out,
right,
and to be receptive to what they want to talk about, rather than having the agenda be so locked in that I can't adjust that so that we can talk about something that's happening in this moment.
This is the aftermath of countless editions, the prehistoric traditions. I'm cursed with these visions and Nostradamus predictions. I see guns, bombs, mortars, and morticians raging fires of desire.
I helped master Extension 398, the mixtape, and they just had they were inspired. They had an excitement about them that most classes maybe, I don't know, a lot of the times people don't get that excited about their college classes,
I don't see myself ever rapping or singing, unless in the shower, but I'd love to work as like an artist's manager or on a PR team, or even as an A&R at a record label. So Rap Lab and his Writing Raps course is really helpful for looking into the industry.
Girl, we don't fake. I ain't riding around with no jakes. White snakes trying to run my way, yeah. They trying to run my way, no.
Like at UVA, there's not a lot of like rappers and producers, so I knew that I would finally have someone like I could treat as like my mentor, you know what I mean? So I could go to him and just ask his opinions on how he felt about my music and stuff.
On with the show now, sit and just enjoy the break and keep listening. There's more to make.
I want to hear about your dissertation. All the students talk about your dissertation when they're talking about you.
It's just like, as an MC, I'm going to be writing these songs because I can't go or can't be anywhere without writing music about what I'm going through, which means that as a doctoral student, I am like writing songs by the environment. You know, like there were ways that I wanted to articulate things that writing an essay or a strongly worded op-ed would not get at. You know, like to write, you know, like I finally make my move to the South, and as I'm moving about, I get a better understanding what my roots is about, because my people are from here. And though I can't see them from here, they're reflected in my expression, so you're hearing them clear. And that was really like that I don't know that there was another way to express what gets expressed in that song. There's not an essay that you write that does that work. And that's the kind of thing that I want to provide my students access to when we're in the composing mixtapes class.
Moving forward, what would you like to see happen with these classes?
You know, like I really hope that the students come here and record their own projects, and that they collaborate with other people who are in here. They, you know, like that an MC shows up and meets a producer, and then, you know, like they start a relationship that produces some dope music. And then I hope that there continue to be resources so that a space like this exists where folks can, you know, from the university, from the community, from wherever, can meet and converse and collaborate and construct and compose and do all of the things that we're doing in this very small way in these classrooms, that exists external to here, you know, like in this building, where folks don't have to navigate the campus in order to get to it, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, like perhaps there are shows that we do, and hopefully that's in alignment with some of the stuff that the university sees itself involved in at some point.
I'm not exactly sure what the goal of my music is going to be at this point, but I'm hoping that through this class I kind of discover my voice.
I think I'm putting myself out there a lot by giving my creative expression a platform to an audience that I don't really know that well. But it also has allowed me to be more secure in what I'm doing.
Yeah, I love it. I really want to be a rapper. I really want to tour around the world, perform. I do it every day.
Every line ends with Kanye. Every single line ends with Kanye.
Yeah, okay, let's do it. I love Kanye.